Hello, everyone. My name is Devin Contour. Welcome to P3 Educates with the wonderfully talented singer, dancer, and actress Malinda Farrington. A little bit about myself. I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Devin Contour. I am a recent graduate of AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in Hollywood. I just graduated with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Musical Theater and just trying to find my way in the world in this crazy time. So we're about to get started. Welcome, Malinda Farrington. Would you
Hi.
like to tell us about yourself a little bit?
Oh, wow. Sure. I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. I had a single mom most of my life who was a child star during the Depression and became a college professor. Um, she was completely supportive, and she never said a word that gave me negative connotations about my dreams. I started dancing when I was 5. I went from ballet to modern to jazz. And when I moved to New York, I was on scholarship at Alvin Ailey. And I kind of fell into musical theater. It wasn't something that I had planned on or dreamed about, but because my mother was a singer, I had a little bit of the voice, and I always sang in church. And it became the most joyful career anyone could ever imagine.
Oh, great. So I know you said your mom was a big performer. What was it like growing up in that musical environment?
It was wonderful. My mom always had a stack of albums playing on the record player. We had a big stereo in the living room, and if she was home, the music was on. So everything from Miriam Makeba to Odetta Holmes to opera to Barbara Streisand. We both loved the Fifth Dimensions. It was always hard to find stuff that we both really liked. Um, the Fifth Dimensions was a big one, but she exposed me to the diversity of different kinds of music. And even though she was classically trained, she loved it all. And I really got that as a child, and I loved it all.
Yeah, my parents actually met doing theater, so I also kind of grew up in that like family music aspect. It was really great.
That's great.
Uh, yeah. Do you feel like growing up with that kind of always having music around and that performing kind of lifestyle influenced your dreams to pursue a career in the performing arts?
Absolutely made me feel that anything was possible.
Mhm.
Seeing mom's career, even though she made the choice to quit performing at 17, when she was on the road with all those older men, she sang with Paul Whiteman's big band. And when she
Mhm.
was touring for 4 years with them, and the old men, the people my age in the orchestra didn't get to go home at Christmas and New Year's and were alone at the holiday. And she thought, I don't want that. So
Mhm.
she continued her music through going to school and furthering her life in other ways, but she wrote music. Now I forgot what the question was. Um,
It was just how did growing up influence your decision to go into the
but
arts?
it made me never question. I saw my mom as this brave, creative, amazing being, and she inspired me to just whatever my dreams were to go, right?
Mhm.
To trust yourself, to have faith that what you're thinking is probably right.
Yeah. So I know that you went to college and you left in your junior year to pursue dance. What kind of decision was that, and how did you come to that decision?
Yeah, at the time, it wasn't a hard decision.
Mhm.
I would say the biggest difficulty was disappointing my mother. I was afraid of disappointing her, but mostly because they offered me a full scholarship the year I left. I was on a partial scholarship, and the summer that I decided not to stay, they were like, full scholarship. And I was like, oh, I was doing the lead roles in the dance concerts at my sophomore year, and I didn't see 2 more years of the same thing. I felt like to grow, I had to get out.
Mhm.
At 19, it just felt like the right thing to do, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So I know you talked about it a little before, but you actually got to train at Alvin Ailey on full scholarship with Alvin Ailey. How was that experience training with such a, like a dance icon?
Well, in actuality, I didn't study with Alvin, but
Mm,
he was there while I was on scholarship. I did
mhm.
perform with a Brazilian company while I was on scholarship, and he came to the show and he
Oh,
came backstage, and just his presence, his energy, his being was so powerful and so, I want to say, inspiring. He had such a way about him of confidence. And you think about what he did when there
yeah.
was no black dancers, and he made this company that was so incredible, and he was so successful. He carried that in his essence, right, in his being. So he was truly awe-inspiring. I was in awe of him.
Oh, I love that. Um, so what kind of made you expand your horizons to pursue Broadway instead of dance?
When I was 20, the big thing to do was take your backstage, which was the newspaper for performers, and you go sit in the coffee shop and circle every possible job auditions, right? And wherever dancer wanted or dancer needed, and more than not, there are more musicals out there than dance companies. And I just started, I started going to those musical theater auditions, and um, I had to get my musical life together, right? You have to start finding those pieces of music, um, and finding that voice teacher. And I had to learn how to belt. I had this pretty little soprano voice, and I remember at one audition, them all at the table saying, "She can't belt. She can't belt. She can't belt." And I was like, "Ah!" So I had things to learn. I had things to learn, but it
Yeah.
was great fun.
So you've gotten to do so much on Broadway with so many incredible icons such as Bernadette Peters and Martin Short and Cheetah Rivera. How was being able to work and learn from them? Like, how was it being able to work with such incredible performers that have influenced so much of theater and the acting world?
Right. I think you learn something different from each person.
Mm,
Uh, the one thing that I took away from Bernadette Peters, I've always loved her voice. She is truly an actress when she sings. She makes me cry. She makes me feel things. But she was so kind and generous with the ensemble women. She went out to dinner with us in the West Village. We got Thai food. We walked around the village and talked, and she was just real and genuine. And it made me realize that no matter how big you get, you can still take time to make everybody feel important. That we all have value, that we're not just her background. So I really admired that a lot. People like Martin Short, you realize, oh, he's not just a funny man. He's really a good actor, and he's got a nice voice. When he did
yeah,
that little solo in the boat, he made me cry too. He's got heart. And Cheetah, you can't say enough about. She could, at 73, kick above her head and belt out a song like
yeah.
she was 50, and make the audience stand on the edge of their seats to listen to her stories. So I really have been blessed with working with some amazing people.
Yeah. That's so I love hearing about people's stories working with so many incredible, huge performers that you don't get to hear those kind of stories who people really worked with them firsthand on. I love that. So what made you leave New York and pursue a career in TV and film to move to LA?
Two things. One was my husband, who is a writer. And like I said, he was a comedian, but he had been in New York with me for 3 years and really wanted to move to LA to be a writer, and felt like it was his time. And what allowed me to go with my own well thought dreams was that when I was in Damn Yankees, I understudied two people and was never allowed to go on because I didn't have the experience as a leading lady.
Oh.
So I had to go out and get that experience. And
Mhm.
it started in theater, doing Trinit and falsettos, or Sally Tally and Tally's Folly. But really, um, I had to start where nobody knew who I was. I wasn't just
Mhm.
a dancer. I wasn't just the ensemble. I was just a person auditioning, right? So everybody has a different slate in their mind. You are just the new face. So it's sort of freeing.
Yeah. I'm looking in the chat. What sort of tips do you have for young artists to get into the LA TV film world?
Ooh, yeah. First of all, you need to get on the acting websites. So
Mhm.
that means LA Casting, Actors Access, Casting Frontier. Most of them cost a little bit of money, but there are free. There's free beginnings where you can just put like one or two headshots on in your resume. But if you want to put film footage, you have to start paying monthly to stay there. But also, you look for an agent. You don't need an agent at the beginning, perhaps if you're non-union, but if you want to get in the door of the union places, you need to go and look for an agent, somebody that is looking for fresh faces, because there are those people that are looking for the next it, right? There's always a next it person.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. What was the transition process like going from acting on Broadway to acting for camera? Because I know some people say it's exactly the same. Some people say it's so different. I'd love your take on that.
The cool thing and the hard thing about Broadway is when you're singing and dancing, you're bigger than life, right? You're huge. And it's harder for me as an actor to be
Mhm.
bigger than life and be real. But with the camera, you can just be. As long as you're connected to the work and connected to your character and just living in the words, you just have to be quiet and calm and it comes through. Right? When you're bigger than life, it becomes too much on the
Yeah.
cameras. It really is trusting yourself and being quiet. Right? Even
Mhm.
if you're a big, loud character, you still have to trust yourself to be real because reality is what makes funny funny or people believe you, right?
Mhm. I know that was always really hard for me in acting for camera classes, transitioning from that really big acting to being just a normal person on the camera. It was very took a lot of work, to kind of even tap into a little bit of that.
Right. It's really trust. You trust, and getting into class. Get yourself in
Mhm.
acting class because the more you work in class, the more comfortable you get, and that
Definitely.
you can bring the comfort into the audition space, right?
Yeah. So I know that you were in the pilot of the hit show Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. What was it like performing on not just a TV show, but like a musical TV show and how that kind of process works? I know there's been a lot of musical TV shows with like Glee and
Right.
Smash and stuff like that, but this is such an interesting take on a musical TV show. What was that kind of like?
Is honestly, it was magic. It was magic. I never knew that that could happen to me. As a child, you watch, Singing in the Rain to West Side Story, and you think, oh, that's what I want to do. And
Mhm.
when you reach a certain age and you think, oh, it might have passed me by, it's so exciting to think it's happening again. And not everybody is a young ingenue, right? You can be the character, they need middle-aged ladies, right? That's who I was. I was the lonely woman. Um, I also love being in the recording studio. There's something um, so grounding about singing into a mic quietly, and then you just act it right when you get on set. It's already been um, produced, and you sing on top of it, sort of.
Mhm.
But it was great fun. I was really, really excited.
Ugh, yeah. What kind of experience is it like in a recording studio to sing and lip sync on the screen and do stuff like that?
Right. I started doing recording studio work in my 20s. I actually dated some singers and I did background vocals on some albums. And I did the original soundtracks for a couple of Broadway shows.
Oh,
I did the original recording of Ragtime, and
oh,
that you're singing with a full orchestra, right? And you've
yeah.
got all these amazing singers singing with you. It's so powerful, and it's so full-bodied excitement. It's a wonderful place to sing.
Yeah. I've always wondered how that kind of translates in like singing live to singing in a recording studio, because I have like a recording mic at my house, but it's definitely not the same of standing in a recording studio and feeling that energy of the people behind the booth and stuff like that, just having that kind of experience in that atmosphere.
Right, right, right.
So I'd love for you to talk about Meet Me at the Bar
Ooh,
and what that kind of what that is.
I would love to. When I was in my early 20s, a really good friend asked me, she was also my roommate, when will you feel like you've made it? And I said, when somebody writes a part for me. And what I meant was on Broadway, but now I have a friend writing a part for me, and it's incredible. Cynthia Gravenice Brown is the writer and creator of Meet Me at the Bar, and I'm co-starring with her and Deb Snyder, and we have other women that fill up behind us, a diverse group of women, and we have already done. We just launched our fourth episode.
Oh
That's
wow.
YouTube. Meet Me at the Bar, and we have already done 2 episodes on Zoom that are coming out shortly. And this weekend, Pete Gardner from My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is in the show with Cynthia, and they're doing an episode together. So we've got stuff that's coming out all the time, and it's really exciting to be a part of something that somebody's written for you, but that also it gives you a chance to grow with the character, right? You
Yeah.
don't just do it once. You get
Mhm.
to figure out who she is and grow with it, and I feel like as a group we have come together in a really cool way. The
Yeah.
meetthebar.us, I'm gonna plug it. Please go and look at what we've done and subscribe on our YouTube page, because it means somebody's out there paying attention. It's all for women on the screen, but also behind the screen. We've got women
Mhm.
directors, we've got women editors. My daughter even edited the last Zoom
Oh wow.
one we did. So it's a great venue for women creating for women.
I
It's really,
love all right. So let me look in the link the live, sorry.
that's okay.
Um, so I hold on. So sorry.
That's okay.
So I was wondering if you had any upcoming projects that you wanted to plug other than Meet Me at the Bar, or anything that you would like people to understand about, or anything happening in the world that you want people to uh, listen to or research or anything like that.
That's very kind. Meet Me at the Bar is the only thing that I'm involved with right now that's creating currently. But what I want to say to all the young performers out there is, if you are dreaming it, it's there for a reason. You really just have to find your way. You have to believe in yourself. You have to see it. You have to see it to make it happen. You can't just hope for it. You can't just dream about it. You have to know it. You have to know it. You have to see it, and then you can make it happen. And anything is possible. I really believe. Look at me. I got my first network TV spot besides commercials. I did a lot of commercials, but I'm in my 50s.
Mhm.
Don't give up. Don't stop. Go, go, go. It can happen.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. What was it like being in a horror film?
Oh my gosh, I was so scared. I was scared because I am not. It is not a genre that I'm going to watch often because I don't like to be scared. I did when I was younger, but not so much. But none of the scenes I was in were. I mean, I did get killed, but none of the scenes I was in were scary. I was the scary one. I got to be I got to be the bad guy. I got to be evil. The only thing the director would ever say to me was, "Melinda, you can't smile. Stop smiling." Like, even as I was trying to be devious or like that, he was like, "No, no." No smile. I was like, okay, mean, I'm mean. But it was great fun. I mean, something different, right? It's great to do something out of your comfort zone. It's it pushes you forward. We all want to expand, right?
Yeah. I know you talked about commercials a little bit, and I feel like that's a big market that I know I didn't really learn a lot about, and I would love to hear kind of your experience in that. I know a lot of people, the commercial world is so, I don't want to say secret, but it's very hard to know what goes on and research how that kind of goes about. Could you kind of touch on your experience in commercial?
The commercials things that I did were so different. Like I did a spot with Rihanna for her big new album. Was that the Anti Diary? And
Mhm.
that was another one where it was my mean face. We were not allowed to smile. We were all her maids, and it was very intense. And there was no talking. It was like dancing around her, but it was really us just being movement, and it was really exciting. It was beautifully directed. But everything else, I've gotten to be kind of me, the quirky, the person I don't often get to be on camera. You get
Yeah.
to be the quirky, funny, um, cute, you know. It's fun. It's fun. It's short, right? It doesn't usually last more somewhere between a day to a week, and you're done. And
Mhm.
if people want to get in, you can always get in through infomercials and get comfortable. So I sort of did that. I went the infomercial way. And then you get comfortable doing that and you
Mhm.
can get comfortable the other.
Awesome. What was infomercials are so fun and different. What was that kind of like?
You have to improv. So they ask you to tell you're usually trying a product, right? And then they want you to talk about it. So the funny part for me, I did a hair one once where I have short, thin hair, and I had to flip my hair. They did that slow motion turn to the front of the camera, and I felt ridiculous.
Oh
But
my.
you just talk about how you like the product. So if you actually like the product, you have some nice things to say generally, and it works, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there any social media that you would like people to follow? Anything like that where we can follow what you're up to, what you're doing?
Sure, you can find me on Instagram, Malinda Farrington. Twitter, I am producer babe on Twitter, and meet me at thebar.us. Please take a look at our episodes. Go to YouTube and look for Meet Me at the Bar and subscribe to our YouTube page. And you can help us further our episodes, right? Get us a following so that we can keep creating. Besides that, I'm on Facebook. Look me up and yeah, thanks for letting me do this. It was so much fun.
Of
I
course. Thank
love
you so much for your time.
you bet. You bet. Thank
Awesome.
you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to follow P3 and P3 Educates for any updates on that. If you would love to, we would greatly accept any donations to P3 to keep this program running, to keep these wonderful shows coming, and to just keep bringing lovely live theater to the world that desperately needs some kind of happiness and fun.
Amen.
So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed Malinda Farrington and all of her amazing expertise on her career. And I hope you all have a wonderful and fantastic day and week. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Take care.